You guys, today I have such a special guest on Yas, a Stripper podcast. And it's a dear old friend of mine, Kayla. Coco Ono.
Akira, as some
Akira.
might know me as.
Akira. Yeah, I was like, how many names should I throw out there on this one? Yeah. Which one do you want to go by today?
I'll go by, yeah, Kayla Coco Ono.
Kayla.
Akira is retired.
Akira is retired.
She is tired and she is retired. And she was only Akira at certain clubs, which are no longer open currently.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can be more myself.
Yeah. That's great. I'm really curious. I've never known exactly what inspired. I mean, I can assume that, from John Lennon's ex-wife, whose name is escaping me, because your name is like Coco.
Yoko Ono.
Yeah, but your name is like blah blah. I couldn't even. It like overshadowed that memory of her name. But I'm inspired by that name somehow.
Yeah, it originally kind of started as a joke. Some of my friends, just because I was kind of overusing the name Akira. It was a name that was chosen hastily when I first started dancing, which also was started hastily.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, quick, I need a name. I heard you're supposed to have a stage name. And I was living with these guys who were anime fans at the time. And I asked them what my name should be. And I was like, can you help me think of a cool, like, Asian name?
Yeah.
And, they were like, what about Akira? Even though it's a man's name.
Yeah.
A Japanese band's name, and it's a famous anime, so I thought, oh, that's cool. And I thought, oh, I'm only going to be dancing for like a few months anyways, so who cares? But well, a few months turned into 15 years. We all know how that goes. I literally was like, I'm only going to be at Jumbo's few years tops.
Right. So for just to give complete context to some listeners, Kayla used to work at Jumbo's Clown Room as Akira, and that's how we know each other, and that's where our history, how we became intersected. And yeah, a lot of us that worked at Jumbo's just stayed for so long. I stayed for 11 and a half years.
So long.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because we all work, because I worked at Spearmint Renter too, not the one that you worked at, but I worked at the one in Torrance. And it's weird because oh, you did? Okay. I never worked at any other club as near as long as at Jumbo's. None of us did. Right. I would work at other clubs maybe like a year, couple years, tops.
Why do you think that is? Why do we stay there?
I'm literally still sifting through this question. I don't know. There's some spirit about that place that it literally, it's like a magnet for like some of the coolest, smartest people, performers that I've ever met to this day, and yeah. I don't know. It's like everybody that's drawn to that place that actually stays. There's like some, I don't know. It just feels like family, feels comfortable. It's the only place I've ever worked that I wasn't nervous before I walked on stage. Mm-hmm. Like I was nervous when I auditioned there, but like every other place I was always nervous. And I don't know, it was like I could walk the floor and talk to anybody. Like I never felt uncomfortable there. Like, yeah, I still can't figure out. It's like something that you can't even put in words.
I know exactly what you mean, and I wonder if it's because, like, in the Spearmint Rhinos, it's just so corporate, and every time you walked into one, it was like the same exact as the other one. So there's something like kind of almost stale about that, like it's not special
Hmm.
anymore. And then, and there's an intimacy factor at Jumbo's Clown Room because the maximum occupancy is only 80 people.
Right. Which sometimes it would be more.
Actually, all the time. Yeah.
Right. Actually, all the time.
Yeah. So, because of that intimacy factor too, I think it just creates a really special energy in the room. Whereas, like, in the bigger clubs, it's like when there's so much space, like when there's only 20 people in the room, like you can really, like, that's very distinct. It's like empty.
Hmm.
And if there's 20 people in the Jumbos, it's like not.
And also, there's something about it being like somewhere between cabaret and a strip club.
Yeah.
So it's like we didn't take anything off. We made the maximum amount of money for not taking anything off. And granted, it wasn't like the kind of money necessarily you would make at Spearmint Rhino,
Right.
but also sometimes it was.
Sometimes.
And you would meet amazing people. Like, I have lifelong friends that I've met through Jumbos that I've collaborated with and like become really close to. And so it's like, I never really had that when I worked at Spearmint Rhino or like, Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
I didn't have lifelong friends that I met there,
Yeah. I did. I had like two.
Right. But not like 80%.
Right. Like at Jumbo's, it's like a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you talk to like every week or daily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is very special. I'm wearing my Jumbo's Clown Room shirt for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Probably a year and a half. I don't know. I didn't wear it for a long time. I wasn't wearing it. I want to wear it with you. And because what I do love most about that place was the dancers, the entertainers from day one till day last.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if it wasn't for those dancers, I don't think I would continue to show up as often as I did.
No, me either. It was definitely the dressing room.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like those after parties in the dressing room.
The best.
Just so special, and like memories of the 40th anniversary at Jumbo's Clown Room in the dressing room when there was 20 of us on shift.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, like 10 of us in there is too much. So
yeah. Like, it's a blur. I only remember that party because I think there's some photos somewhere, but like, yeah, it's weird. Packed. I was looking for photos for the updated website and I was like, wow, I can't believe all this time has passed. Yeah. All these crazy things have happened to all these people.
Grew up there in a way. Like,
yeah.
Grew up from young adults
to
actual real adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so grateful to have had that experience with you.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we watch you at Jumbo's and even at other shows, you're a true performance artist. You do things way outside of the box. I think one of my favorite performances that you do is the Andy Warhol performance where you ignore everybody on stage for the entire set. And, I just want to talk about that. I want to talk about some of your performances and where you get your inspiration from.
That one started because Lulu, who worked there for many years and then started the Bootleg Bombshells, after Bowie passed away, we did a tribute show, and I just thought it would be great. I forgot to address the name earlier, also the Yoko Ono, Coco Chanel referencing and marrying the two names, because I was really interested in Yoko Ono's like conceptual performance work, and Coco Chanel definitely disrupted her time with her fashion sense and her business sense. So that was that backstory. But along the lines of performance art, I thought it would be great to merge when David Bowie played Andy Warhol in Basquiat, the Basquiat film. And so I decided to be that character of Bowie, and I danced to Bowie's version of, or Bowie's song, Andy Warhol. And I don't know, it just kind of started as like a funny joke. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing this. And then I don't know, something about putting that wig on just made me want to ignore the audience, which is like, makes them want to get your attention even more. But I was like, I think this is how Andy Warhol would act. And yet so many people wanted to be around him. Like, he was so fascinating. And yeah, so I just was like, okay, what if I just completely embody this character? And then I just kept taking it to, like, further and further. And then actually Nancy had that Prince Bowie burlesque show, and I never really...
Nancy the bartender from Jumbo.
Nancy the bartender. I never really did so much performance art stuff there. Like, it was always like separate, like,
yeah,
Kayla Tange, then Akira on stage is like, you know,
definitely, but it bled over.
Serious and sexy. And I was like, you know, I'm kind of like tired of just being so separate. So yeah, she started doing those shows. I know you did some of the early ones. And I was still not doing like super weird performance art, but then she's like, oh, you should bring your Andy Warhol act. And then I just started doing stuff like that at Jumbo's. And then I was like, wait, I can literally do whatever I want up here.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And there's like very few clubs in the world that are like strip clubs, but that you can actually get away with that. And people think it's hilarious. So yeah, I think that was just like so cool to get that response. Cause it was like, I could do that act in Venice and it would get that response, but I never thought that I could just go on stage and like not do anything sexy and still get a good response.
Yeah, well, maybe that's another reason why Jumbo's is special, is because it is a place, like, if you think about it, the performers that were there before us, our ancestors, right?
Our ancestors.
Right? It was a safe space for them
to
showcase their random talents. And so that just like lives in the walls of that building.
I do think so. So I think that, yeah, I think it's just kind of naturally evolved where they were slowly being pushed out. And I watched that happen. You watched that happen.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really sad, because some of my first experiences at Jumbo's was, you know, Alejandra putting a lit cigarette like in her butt crack and then making people at the rail like smoke it after. Or, you know, JJ doing just really bizarre stuff like just staring at the audience with like under the glasses and like taking her bra off, just like, that's it, but keeping her shirt on and then just revealing the bra. Like, it was like, I don't know why. Yeah, like, but like really funny. And I was like, what?
Just like dangling it around.
dangling around. I was like, wow, this is such a cool place.
Well,
And people were going nuts.
yeah,
People
one of
were
my
like going
favorites
nuts.
when Holland would wear all red and put lobster claws
Oh, yeah.
on and dance to
And
rock
just be in a rock,
and act
not
like a
moving,
lobster on stage and scurry. She would
and not
scurry.
scream. And she wouldn't do anything sexy. And people like thought it was the most hilarious thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it did change a lot, but it's still, there's still there were still elements of performance art left over, like the manger scene on Christmas Eve and Christmas night.
And Midnight Mass,
Midnight Mass was amazing.
which people, I mean, how many years did we do that? And it was like never got old. I always thought it was so funny, and I was so excited.
For like 5 years, and we would
For like 5 years,
we would do it like 3 times a week sometimes. Whenever Misty, aka Kat, was working, she would dress up as the Pope. So I have to tell everybody what we're talking about. So
Please.
she would dress up as the Pope, and we would dress up as either naughty Catholic schoolgirls or nuns. And then we had a Bible, I think, as a prop.
Yeah, we had a Bible, and we had someone made out of like an extendable broom,
right,
or a swisher or a Swiffer or something, but then like duct taped to like a bucket.
Yeah.
And so then someone would like extend it.
Not just someone, my friend. Me.
It was you or Mystic Page. But yeah. I remember it just kept getting more and more ridiculous. It was like, I think it extended like 10 feet to the bathroom or something.
The corner. Because you just take one step over the stage. So I would take one step over the railing in my 8-inch heels with this like 10-foot long pole with a bucket at the end of it. And I would dangle it and I would tap it very lightly on their heads. And I would say...
But it was literally only you or Paige, or then there was like one other person, but there was only a few people that could actually get away with it.
Oh, I did, yeah.
And people would be thanking you for even like passing it by their face.
Oh, because it's their tithing. It's you
yeah.
know, it makes them feel good to give to those in need. And so I literally say like, Jesus loves you. It's for Jesus. So yeah, and we made like so much money. It was so fun, and we danced to Like a Prayer by Madonna. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the times.
Yeah. Yeah, and now we're in completely different times. It's so odd.
It's so odd.
So odd. It was odd for me losing that job via my accident.
Right.
But at least I knew y'all were still there and everything was fine. And now it's even more odd knowing that it's just been shut since March. Just shut.
Yeah, it's going to be, it is September. It's September.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, what day is it? Yeah. So I know the transition's been rough.
Yeah.
It was rough for me. At first I just was like, well, I guess I'm retiring.
Yeah.
But that's definitely changed also.
Right. I watched your show last night. Your Sacred Wounds show.
Yes.
Yeah, we watched it in the backyard. There was a group of us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I had some technical difficulties, but...
Did you?
Did it not see? I was at the back freaking out. Reagan actually sat with us and we did a Zoom lesson.
Yeah.
A Zoom hosting lesson.
Reagan from Cyber Clown Girls.
Yes.
Yeah. And
what did you think?
I didn't notice that many technical difficulties. There was slight sound issues, but it wasn't enough to be like, oh wow, they're really screwing up over here. Like, this is incredible. That was
okay, cool. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of I was very impressed. I mean, you know, I've been performing a long time, but I was still impressed that like the performers Wang and I reached out to trusted us to agree to something that was like brand new. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'd
That
really love it if you could just give us the full scope, like who you did this with, who you asked, why you did it, what was the meaning behind it. Like if you can just give us a synopsis, and I'm just gonna let you talk.
um so Wang is a Taiwanese drag king. Um and also hosts the Asian Burlesque Extravaganza, which is now a festival. And that's where we met. And I did the Asian Burlesque Extravaganza from, I did it 2017, 2018, and 2019. And that was a really big turning point for me because I was dreaming of just being bi-coastal and performing in New York. That was like on my bucket list. I was like, and then I was referred to Calamity by Lux Lacroix, who's now the host of Bootleg Bombshells, and then I did Montreal Burlesque Festival and met Calamity in person there, and she asked me to do the show, and yeah, it was a huge turning point for me. I mean, to perform with an all Asian cast was, you know, after performing for so long in clubs that were often not diverse, to have a show specifically dedicated to yeah, and it was like it was a space where there was, you know, queer Asian performers, there was male dancers, there was a male pole dancer. I mean, just incredible, you know, performers that it was like mind blowing to me. Do you know what I mean? To have
Yeah,
this space
yeah,
that had like all the Asian performers that I never even dreamed existed.
yeah, you didn't even know. Yeah,
So it's like I knew they existed,
yeah,
but I didn't realize there was like a whole space
right,
just for them to be loud and
right,
proud, you know? And that there was an audience for that that was excited to see this kind of camaraderie.
yeah,
Um, and so I was just like, wow, I can't believe like I'm a part of this. And it's like in New York, and I'd always dreamed of that. And then she had booked me in some other shows and linked me with the owner of the Slipper Room who booked me. And then, you know, I ended up meeting Gal and like Cheeky
Gal
Lane and
Friday.
like, yeah, and like all these performers. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Cause it's like people I'd just only met online that I was able to meet in person. And so, yeah, it really changed my perspective on like coming together, you know, as a community, and that, you know, you can be a part of multiple communities and sub communities, you know, which is like, I felt like I was part of the burlesque community, but then to be a part of this like sub burlesque community of like specifically Asian burlesque, who definitely have like, you know, their, I guess, own kind of way of dealing with burlesque, or like just, yeah, I guess just being Asian and maybe having like different ways of being raised and like kind of cultural pushback on
Yeah,
sexiness or what it means to perform in this way, and is it bringing shame on your family, et cetera, et cetera.
right.
um, like these, so to see all of these really brave performers come together like this was really changed my perspective. So fast forward to now, during lockdown, it's like I'd been um, co-curating with Cyber Clown Girls, and I was really craving, like, I guess I was doing a lot of work on like my own personal ancestral healing and really working on my own voice in terms of subverting stereotypes and kind of flipping tradition on its head. And I guess, just thinking of how I can bring together my two worlds, which have always been very separate, which is performance art and burlesque and stripping. So I just feel like it was really cool to be able to kind of like put all of those people in a show. Calamity was there last night.
Oh, good. Oh, nice.
Yeah, she performed last night. So it was really cool to bring all of those communities together and just kind of do this, I don't know, online ritual on this full moon.
Yeah. I have so many questions for you right now. Well, first of all, you had a pretty large group of people watching last night.
I was really pretty humbled by that.
Yeah, for a Zoom virtual strip club, over 120 computers viewing at one time. That's a large number. I've seen a lot of virtual strip clubs, and that's a large number.
This was promoted on in the Asian burlesque communities. So I basically gave out the password to like any POC performers could sign in and just participate. So yeah, and Pearl Noir reposted, and just like a lot of.
Is that a big account or something?
Pearl Noir does the Noir pageant in New York.
Okay.
And it's like a huge advocate for POC performers. So I was just really grateful and like honored to be. It was shared on like a lot of kink events.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so it was like shared by a lot of people. There was like a large amount of Asian viewers in the audience, and so I don't know what has some alchemy, some magic happened that it was like great. Shared so many times by like so many people in like the Asian performance art community and just like Asian burlesque. That I was like, I don't know.
I mean, there was full. Like 10 of us watching you in our backyard. So even though that was a computer that counted for 10 people. So you had you had more than 120 people there. You probably had close to 200, quite honestly. If you think about, there's more than one person behind a device, you know?
Right. Some of the devices had a couple people watching. So
yeah. And the performances were like so incredibly stunning. And what I really was inspired by in your show is that some of them were pre-recorded, edited videos, and then some of them were live performances. So I really enjoyed the back and forth of that. But some of those edited videos were like the production quality was through the roof. Who are these amazing artists that you brought on this show? I mean, the rope, the aerial rope.
Yeah.
But not just, and I want the audience to understand, not just aerial rope, like if you're an aerialist, you know what aerial rope is. It's like aerial bondage.
Right.
Aerial rope bondage.
Live.
Yeah, like tying herself up while hanging from the ropes at the same time. Live. It was incredible. Who were these? Tell us who your guests were.
So I met Joyen at Asian Burlesque Extravaganza. She's from the Philippines. She was live from Manila. It was 10 a.m. when she started the show, or when we started. And I think by the time she performed, it was like 11 a.m. there. So yeah, we became friends, and it was kind of this dream. Like I just wanted to bring all these people together, and I kept telling her. She came to one of the Cyberclown girls, and I was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be so cool if we could do our own show and just like really feature you, you know?" And so yeah, she sent me that video, and I want to make sure I say this right, but it was dedicated to the ghosts of all the Japanese women murdered in horror movies. And so it was called Bloodlust. And then, yeah, her aerial act was like amazing. Like I was just like blown away by like all these performers. So Caroline is built that big cage was like very, someone said it was like very David Lynch vibes.
Yeah.
And we had collaborated on a project that was basically like rewriting Korean mythological history, which is often very patriarchal. So I had made her the mask she was wearing, and then we'd been kind of like collaborating, and she created that video and did all the editing, built the installation, and just did all the projections and the editing. She was also playing like Korean bells, and like the words she was speaking was a poem she wrote about the Kumyo character, which is like a nine-tailed fox in Korean mythology. And so it's just like really layered and deep. And Ibuki was the Buto artist and did the calligraphy video before. And
yeah, she did calligraphy on a maxi pad.
Yeah.
Red calligraphy on
a
maxi pad. And I was just so enthralled in the painting of the calligraphy that it was like a full minute in, and I picked up my head, and I looked at my girlfriends, and like, oh, she's painting on a maxi pad, and they're like, yeah, and I was like, oh, I said, did you guys know that from the beginning? And they're like, yeah, and I was like, oh, I just got it.
Oh my God, zoom out, it's a maxi pad. Yeah, she's been studying Buto for many years, and so I have just like been a fan of hers, online. And then she came to one of my shows, and we met in person. And I don't know, just like all these people, and Bessie Snow, who did the Japanese song, and then the dance. Wang brought her in, and Wang brought Dia in, and so it's like just collaborating on this like curation was so cool because I just think we both brought really amazing artists on that were like doing this work, this kind of like deep work, but then figuring out a way to present it. I don't know.
Yeah, and even the name of the show, Sacred Wounds, is so deep, what was the meaning behind that? Like, what was the message that you as a collective were really trying to put out there?
So I had a tarot reading with my friend Kira, and I was like taking on a lot of stuff at the time, and I just kept getting all these like wands cards, like they were like 10 of wands, just like you're like taking on a lot of stuff. Like the card is like a person carrying all this stuff on their back, all these wands on their back. And I was just like dealing with so much stuff. Sometimes when you don't want to deal with your own stuff, you just take on a lot of other things. So yeah, anyways, so she's like, I think you should, I don't know, I'm just feeling like you should get your Akashic records read, and like referred me to a friend of hers. And
what are Akasha records?
Akashic records. It's, I don't want to go too much into it because I don't know too much about it. I literally went into it like just trusting this process.
Okay.
But it's like bringing up a lot of past life things that kind of show up in this life that aren't being worked out.
Got it.
So I got it read, and anyways, he said, here is something that I think you should ask. And it was, like, what are my sacred wounds that I need to address? And it was like, I was working on a film, the first film that I showed, and I don't know, it was like, it took a year. We were working on this thing for like a really long time. And I guess, I don't know, it was one of those things where it just was like, oh, that's it. That's what we're all working on as a collective.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was like an intuitive thing.
Right.
Where I was like, oh, that is it. That is what I am working on. And I think that anybody that is working on that should be a part of this show.
Yeah.
Because I want to transform like my personal healing. I want that to translate to the audience.
Yeah.
And also I was like, I just want to be Kayla and Coco. Like, I don't want to have these separate lives and worlds anymore, because the time that we're in now, it's like, I think that's why I love doing these shows where we are donating. And
yeah,
do you know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't have to separate my lives anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you can care and you can do all this work. Oh, and you can also entertain people, but you can also tell them what you believe in.
Yeah.
Like, just put it all on the table. This is what I believe in. This is who I am. Like, this is what I care about. And I want to really give you a good show that's been thought about.
Yeah. Yeah. And we could tell, you know, that really translated through the screen. It was great. It was really, really beautiful.
I'm so glad you came.
Oh my gosh.
I actually like, oh, I should invite you because I'm going to do your podcast the next day.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I was like, oh, great.
Yeah, I'm so glad you did too, because I sometimes get so caught up in my own day-to-day minutia that I'm not actively looking at what's happening next. So I really do appreciate things like that being brought to my attention, because
I do too. I actually love when people personally invite me to things, but I do kind of feel sometimes like, oh God, am I just spamming people? You know?
No, it was just a simple invitation, one that I could have said yes or no to, you know, and I was excited, and then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, hey guys, I'm supposed to watch this all Asian show tonight, which sounds amazing. Should we put this on the projector in the backyard? And before I knew it, there was like 12 people in my backyard, and I was like, well, everyone wear your masks. Like, we were all in our masks and everything, but it like grew like wildfire. I announced it at 4, like 3 or 4. The show was at 7.
Right. Which we did early because there was New York people.
Oh, totally. But I had a crew, like a fat crew, in like 3 hours just by saying
It's so funny.
Pitch I gave, you know.
I can just imagine, hey guys, so there's this thing.
But the thing is they all know like what I'm up to, so it's not unusual at all, you know.
I do that all the time, and then I signed on to Reagan's show after. And while I was making tater tots, I was like in the chat room, like, "Wow, that was great."
we were there too at the Cyber Clown Room Girl show right after.
I didn't even see who was in the room. I just was in the chat. So that's so funny.
And you know, I just have to say, like, if you're listening and you're not watching these virtual strip clubs, I'm talking Cool Cats Online, Cyber.
Oh, I love Cool Cats.
Now Sacred Wounds, which I hope you're doing more of eventually.
I think we're gonna do a monthly.
Okay, great. So
for now, because that's what I can handle.
Yeah.
But and I want it to grow organically.
Yeah, so the Onyx Black 420 show is also monthly. It's
also great.
Yeah, and then you have the East London Collective ladies on the other side of the pond and Sanctuary Land.
Sanctuary.
Or a Sanctuary Virtual Strip Club. There's so many out there, and they're incredible. And I was saying last night, I kept looking at my friends saying, this is just high quality TV. This is
this is
the best thing on TV. As I kept saying. And then
I'm so impressed with all of our friends.
I know. And then
I'm so impressed.
I know. But we kept getting shout outs. And I would look to my friend Zia and I'm like, isn't it so fun when they give you shout outs on TV? We just like, we loved it. It was so fun. Such a good thing to do as a group. Such a good thing.
I'm just, yeah, I mean, when I like step back for a minute and sometimes just like attend things, it's just so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to just briefly talk about one other thing before we wrap because I just think that in today's climate with the racial tensions, you and I have had conversations about this is that there are some groups that tend to be kind of not examined as closely. And
Mm-hmm.
I want you to speak on that. You're the expert in this area, so I'm going to end there. Do you feel comfortable talking about that?
You mean not examined like as racial groups or just?
Yeah, I feel like there's been so much conversation, especially lately, about black and white, and that's not what our communities are, and there's just been an
So,
emphasis on black and white, is what I'm saying.
right. And I actually, before I even go into that, like want to quickly highlight uh, my friend's organization, who we talked about last night, which is the Office Hour Project, which is organized by sex workers and social workers. Basically, what they do is they help people have conversations about anti-oppression. And I just think it's so brilliant. Like, we're going to donate some money to them. We're going to book some sessions with them because I still need help. Because somebody the other day, because I do consider myself a person of color, like in that community, but I've been told that I'm not based on the shade of my skin. Like, I've been questioned, like, well, you're not a person of color. But the term is just, kind of a blanket term of non-white. And so I do relate. I do feel like, that is my community. I do say POC. I am a POC performer. In terms of activism, like, I guess what I like about the office hour and what I like about what's happening now is that there's conversations. Like, you can absolutely be an activist. Like, you can be a multi-layered activist.
Yeah.
So as an Asian person, I am 100% Black Lives Matter. And I can also be, an Asian activist for my community. So I just think that you can be both. You can be an activist also for women in Turkey.
Right.
But still be an Asian activist and a Black Lives Matter activist. Yeah. So to me, I think it's like you can do all the things.
Yeah.
Because we all need to understand that, like, you can't just do one thing and feel like that's enough. Right. Like, you have to do all the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I feel. Like, you can address things in your own community, but like, you need to understand like how they connect with all of these other communities.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of work to do, a lot of things to learn.
There's a lot of work to do. Like, I'm still learning every day. I'm like, what can I read? Yeah. Whose page can I follow?
Yeah.
What can I repost?
Right.
Am I doing enough?
Right.
Do you know am I saying the right terminology? Because things change.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I mean, I'm still like trying my best, but like every day I'm like, okay, what's changed? What do I need to learn? And I'm not always like perfect, you know?
Yeah. Of course not. None of us are.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, I know it's like complex.
It is.
And
Yeah.
so I think, yeah, I think the activism that Wang and I were doing last night with Sacred Wounds was like, this is addressing the performers in the Asian community.
Yeah.
Um,
It was powerful. I look forward to the next one.
yes, I do too. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. Is that I think that you can be powerful on many levels.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
Want to be fabulous just like these strippers? Pay attention. It's Stripper Tips.
Don't ever underestimate like the power of your personal story. And that's power. Like that's all you need. You know, because if you do that, you don't have to copy anybody. You work from that.
Yeah.
And there's going to be someone out there that resonates with. And then from there, that's all you need.
Yeah. That's great.
So basically be yourself.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love it.
Get ready for our rapid fire question round. It's time for 4 for 1.
Have you ever peed in public and gotten caught?
Yes.
Nice. Have you ever yelled at a customer on stage? If so, what did you say?
I said, don't fucking touch me because he tried to grab a lock of my hair.
Do you play any instruments?
I play a few, but not well.
What do you play?
I play piano and recently purchased the dulcimer, a hammered dulcimer.
What is that?
It's wood. It's a wooden instrument with strings.
Yeah.
And it has these hammers.
Like, okay. Cute.
I wanted to learn traditional Korean music so I could be the topless dulcimer player. But I just, my learning curve with it is really bad. So I need to get better before I embarrass myself.
I can't wait to see.
And my culture.
Yeah. Last question. What's considered a luxury experience or item that just does not appeal to you?
Oh God, most of them.
Yeah.
I really, yeah, like most luxury things. I don't know. I don't really care that much about cars. Or nice clothes, to be honest. I think this sports bra was left in the dressing room in a giveaway bag.
Yeah, same, bud. I wouldn't even be able to pinpoint one thing either because I'm just like, I don't care, you know?
I don't really care about clothing or stuff, but yeah.
Spas? Spa treatments? No. All right.
They're nice.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I wouldn't say no, but I'm not dying without them. Although, like sports massages, those are nice. But when you're like physically active performer, those are just kind of necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even see that as luxury.
Yeah. Well, you said it. You're amazing. I'm so glad we finally did this.
I'm so glad we finally did this too, because this is probably the least nervous I've been because it's you and I've known you for so long, because I don't know, sometimes I've done like a few things like this in the last couple of years, and I'm always just like, I feel like a hot dog, where you're just not yourself at all, not funny, you're like monotone, not cracking any jokes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about it is I get to highlight all of the amazing people that I've built friendships with over the last 2 decades, and then make new friendships too. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your art and your skill with us. And please tell everyone how they can follow you and find out more about what you're up to.
My Instagram is coco.ono. My personal Instagram is kayla.tange. And the new show, Sacred Wounds, is sacred.wounds. And for the 4th one, Cyber Clown Girls, at Cyber Clown Girls, if you want to follow any of those shows. They're all the shows are super fun and
awesome. Yeah, make sure you tune into any one of those shows. They're amazing. And thank you so much for tuning into this show every Wednesday. We love that you're listening, and we'll be in your earballs next week. Bye.
Hi. We're now accepting 4-for-1 submissions from our listeners. You can send them in via Instagram at Yes a Stripper Podcast or on Twitter at Yes a Stripper Pod. Make sure to follow all the things and email any questions or concerns to yesastripperpodcast@gmail.com. Tune in every Wednesday. See you soon.